So here I am at Microsoft 365 portal, and hopefully your university has given you a license to Microsoft Office 365. If not, you can get an online license for the web-based application for free. I want to direct you over to this waffle right here. So you want to click on that, and that should allow you to see some of the different applications that we're going to be using. And in that drop-down menu, you're going to see things like Sway. You'll see things like Forms, Excel, Outlook, and not shown here is another one we'll be using called Power Automate, which is going to help us to automate the peer review process. So just a little bit of background about this system that I'm going to be demonstrating to you. This was built in response to the pandemic, where we had to go online immediately, and we didn't have the financial resources to purchase one of the commercial products for delivering TBL. So basically, I took it upon myself as the TBL director to design a new system from scratch, watching a lot of YouTube videos and figuring out how to do this using applications that we already had on hand that were paid for. So that's kind of the rationale for where we started with this. Okay, so if we go and we click over to Sway, all right, and you can see that we're over in the Sway portal, and I've created a demo Sway for this session itself. I've basically copied over one of my previous TBL documents. So let's look at what this looks like on the back end. And so what you can see is very much a blocked vertical scrolling website. And so these are different blocks and text cards that I've created. And this was created using AI. And so what I did was I had generated a Word document of the various portions of my TBL, including, procedural things, and then the group assessment, multiple choice, and then the different forms that I wanted to have my students fill out to report their outcomes, and also the application phases. Once I had that document, I was able to import it into Sway as an existing document, and then Sway, the AI was able to have its way with that document and spit it out into these visual blocks that you see right here. And Sway does a pretty good job of designing an online website for you for these sessions. I did a little bit of tweaking here and there. And once I had my template, then the AI did a phenomenal job from there on in blocking it out the way that I wanted it for my TBL sessions. So you can see that this is the back end. The students don't see this. This is my design back end. And I have a lot of different blocks right here. And here is my group assessment right here. That's blocked out into different questions. So it's pretty easy. You just go and you simply add blocks in here to your different document, and you can add new questions. The really sweet thing about Sway when you're doing this is you're creating an online document in real time. And so if I discover a mistake when I'm in the middle of a session, I can go in and fix it, and it's reflected in the students' screens immediately. And so sometimes I have found a coding error where I miscoded a question. A was the correct answer instead of B, and I've been able to fix it right away. And no one is the wiser. And so this is a very, very important reason that I chose Microsoft Sway to do an online format for my TBLs. And you can see now that I go into my report out section of my TBL in the blocks with the scoring your GRAT card. And then this is the real crux of the facilitation in order to really streamline it and get it so that one person who's slightly knowledgeable in some of these different applications can do it. For 100 students, 175 students, I can facilitate on my own. And I embed Microsoft Forms. It's very similar to Google Forms, to allow the students to report their scores, to allow them to tell me which questions they would like their facilitator to discuss, and to submit appeals. And so I'll show you this in a second. Okay, so here we are in our TBL Sway document as it appears to the students.
One of the things I should note is that I share this online document with my students in class by a QR code, and this is password protected. So I give them the password in class to launch this website. And I change the password after each session so that way I can secure this website that I built. Also, I have clicked a few things in the settings over here so that the students cannot export this website, nor can they export it as a PDF, nor can they print it. So I'm doing my best to secure my documents right here. I still cannot prevent a screenshot from students. And I suspect that that's a common problem for many of you sitting and watching this video as well. So here you can see how the sway document appears once I play it. And so here's some reminders about procedures. And then I come down to my group assessment. So students will be able to scroll through this down on their phone, on their tablet, what have you, and start their discussion and start their scratching of their scratch-off card to score their test. Okay, so I continue to scroll down here on my blocks right here, and this next step is where I give the students an example of how to score their scratch-off cards, okay? And now the meat of the facilitation is right here. This is the key I found for having a single facilitator for a TBL group of 100 students, or even 175 at once. So I have the students score their cards, write it on their card, but then I have them report it out immediately using submission of an MS form, group number, and score. And as soon as they hit submit, then this data comes to my Microsoft Forms dashboard. And so in virtually real time, I can see what teams have finished their quizzes and how are we looking on time. Second form that I've created and embedded into the Sway is a question discussion. And so this is a 10 question multiple choice. So I will ask the students if there were 2 questions that you would vote to have discussed by your facilitator, what would they be? You can go and you can click right here, and students can go ahead and submit this, okay? So we submit that, and then again, that data comes back to my dashboard so that I have a moment to prepare for the discussion part of the TBL. Again, I will see a histogram of, 30% of the class asked for question number 2, 90% of the class asked for question number 3, so I know I should probably prepare question number 3. Finally, the appeals. This is a part of TBL where students can argue with you a little bit about a question that was on their assessment. And so I've created another form right here. Which of the 10 questions are you appealing? Give me a reason why you're appealing it. Ambiguity in question, and you must answer these 2 things in order to be considered for an appeal. Or did I mess up the pre-work or the pre-reading as a facilitator? And then you have to answer this as well. They submit, and this goes to my dashboard and to an Excel spreadsheet as well. So all my data go to Microsoft Forms dashboard, and then I can download all of those data for archiving and for scoring through Excel. So I can keep going. And the next part of my TBL is my application exercises, and you can see that I blocked them out nicely as well. And this is not scored through Microsoft Forms, but rather through little cards that they will hold up. Okay, so you can see that we'll keep going, and then this will clearly indicate the end of the session. Okay, so on the back end of my Microsoft Forms dashboard, this is what I'm seeing. And I use Forms for a ton of stuff in my classroom. So I embedded these forms into my Sway document. And what I'm going to be looking for now is my, let's say, the class of 28 discussion request form. And so this is a form that I created. Submit your team number, pick 2 questions that you would like your facilitator to discuss, and submit. And so if I were to preview this, it would look exactly like what the students did, but this is my back end when I'm creating the form. So now my dashboard, if I want to see exactly what's going on with the class so that I know to prepare for which of the questions is giving them an issue, This is the data that I'm going to see when I start to look at things. And so what I'm going to see is a histogram that says that right here, my question number 4 was my big question that's being requested by the class, followed by number 3. And so this gives me a little bit of a heads up about what are the questions that I, as a facilitator, need to hit after the GRAT has completed and all the forms are submitted. So this is the back end, and also I have another one of these for the appeal and also for the GRAT report out. You can see right here that you can download the individual download your results into Excel, so you have an archive now of your questions that have given folks issues, so that you can look back at them for your next session or look back at them for next year. So everything can be archived as you're doing these sessions, which is really, really key. Okay, so the final component of the TBL platform is the peer review platform. And I've built this using another platform that I really like, an online software called Articulate, which I use to build learning modules for faculty and for students. You can also use Sway to do this. It works just the same. And so what I'm going to do is click over here. This is what my Articulate looks like. And let's click on how I built this module now in Articulate Rise. Again, you can do this with Sway. It's really super, super easy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this looks on the student, what the students will see then. So this is a course that I built, and you can see that I have the review process, things about the review process, the 2 components. I use a system where we go with weighting of quantitative scores and qualitative scores about the quality of the narrative feedback. And you can see that I give you the rubrics, scoring the peers, and then the modified Colson also has the faculty's score, the written feedback submitted by the students. And this is actually a really, really interesting component of my feedback that has increased the quality of my student feedback by leaps and bounds. I have phenomenal feedback coming in right now because the students know that they're grading. And then I provide examples of feedback. And then the feedback portals are here. And so this is the student portal right here. If you are part of what we refer to as the gold group, here's your portal right here, the blue group students here. And when faculty come to review the quality of the student submissions, they will click here. So let's go ahead and click on the gold group right here. Let me share this tab. And you can see that the students were shunted over to a Microsoft form again. What's your first name? What's your last name? What thread are you submitting reviews for? And so again, this will be the component of the feedback where I'll ask the students to give scores for their peers and then to write at least 2 sentences based on what they observed over the courses. So once students and faculty submit their peer reviews, again, this is generated through Microsoft Forms. So now comes the automation part where I can save my support staff hundreds, if not thousands, of emails by automating the email process. I am going to create an auto-populated email that grabs comments from the Microsoft form, grabs scores from the Microsoft form, and populates a customized email that will get mailed out to the students at an interval that I select. And so this is done through a program called Microsoft Power Automate, and it's done through a process called a flow. And so I have generated these flows. And again, I taught myself how to do this just by watching YouTube. And you can see my one class, the blue class, the gold class, and the faculty each have their own separate flow. And this is a very low programming type of endeavor right here. You can see that this is my automated push is what I've called it. And if I go in and I edit it, I can see that these are the various flow charts that dictate what's going to be happening on the automation. So whenever a response is submitted by a student through Microsoft Forms, I gather the response details and I populate an email and I delay it until I'm ready for those emails to go out typically after the due date for the peer feedback from the class. And so if you're interested in learning how to do this, give me a shout out and I will help you write these scripts. They're super easy.